Hey guys, it's Ryan and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we had the first official test of the Motogp 2017 season, and today we're just going to have a quick run through of what exactly happened. So, new boy Maverick Vinales, brand new on the Yamaha factory squad, topped the session by 0.020 ahead of his brand new teammate Valentino Rossi. Jorge Lorenzo made his debut on the Ducati. However, he did about 47 laps on the GP16 compared to the GP17 that he will be running tomorrow. He did one out lap on the GP17 and come back in, so he was third. However, I'm not really paying much attention to that just because it was last year's bike. However, I don't feel there will be much difference between the two bikes. We'll have to wait and see tomorrow. In fourth position, it was the first Repsol Honda bike and the first Honda inside the top three, Marc Marquez, just 1/10 and a bit behind top man Maverick Vinales. The second Ducati was in fifth, Andrea Dovizioso. He tried out the 16 and the 17. His fastest time was actually on the 16, I believe. He did a 33.1, 2/10 behind Maverick Vinales. The second Honda was Cal Crutchlow. He finished in sixth position, just ahead of brand new Suzuki rider Andrea Iannone. He finished the session in 7th position, 2/10 behind Maverick Vinales. The first of the satellite Ducati riders was Scott Redding in 8th, ahead of second satellite rider Hector Barbera. Danny Pedrosa ended the session in 10th position, ahead of Australian Jack Miller. Alvaro Bautista was next up in 12th, making his debut on the Aspar Ducati. Michele Pirro, who stood in for Danilo Petrucci, who had to fly home on Monday, he finished in 30th, ahead of Aleix Espargaro, who got his first taste on the Aprilia. Loris Baz was 15th, ahead of Jonas Folger and Johan Zarco, the two Tech 3 riders moving up from the Moto2 squad. They were 16th and 17th. Tito Rabat ended his first day of the second season in the MotoGP class in 18th, ahead of the two KTMs of Paulo Espargaro and Bradley Smith. The second Team Suzuki X-Star rider was Alex Rins. He ended the day in 21st position, ahead of Eugene Lavity, who was the official Aprilia test rider. Carol Hebron was in 23rd on the Aspar Ducati. Sam Lowes was next up on the Aprilia. He was in 24th, ahead of test rider for Suzuki Takuya Tsuda. And then Francesco Bagnaia rounding out the field in P26 after he won 2 races in the Moto3 squad, which meant he had got a gift to ride the bike today. Despite the Movistar Yamaha squad ending up after the first day P1 and 2, it weren't all plain sailing for them after Valentino Rossi had a crash in the lunch hour of the test, which means I don't believe any cameras were running. There was no broadcasting of it. It was their lunch break between 12 PM and 1 PM, I believe, in the UK. But Valentino Rossi had a crash at turn 10 along with Paulo Espargaro, Andrea Iannone, Tsuda and many more. Now, Valentino Rossi has very quickly been criticising the brand new development program that Yamaha's got. It said that they've not developed the bike enough, and therefore their 2017 engine is not enough. It's not enough to match the Honda and the Ducati in the straight line, which could be a fairly big factor for the Yamaha squad. But it didn't slow down Valentino or Maverick. Just 0.02 of a second separates them after the first day. In terms of Lorenzo and Ducati, there's not really much we can say because the fact that Lorenzo was running on the GP16. Now, like I said earlier, I'm not sure how big of a gap the GP16 to the GP17 is. I'm not sure if Lorenzo will feel anything different on the two bikes, apart from the GP17 maybe being a little bit easier in corners. That was their main target. But, however, I don't know, because Lorenzo's times on the GP16 and Andrea Dovizioso's time on the GP16 were quicker than Dovizioso's times on the GP17. Now, the GP17 was losing time in the final sector. Dovi was about 0.3 off all the way round, got to the final sector across the line, and was about 0.8 off. And at Valencia, as you know, the final sector at Valencia is very fast. It's a very fast left-hander over the hill and then into the final corner, and it's all about getting a good drive out the corner and that top end down the straight. And that's where Dovi lost his time, which makes me think, has Ducati maybe been trying to develop more in the corners and their horsepower may have just dropped down a little bit? Lorenzo did top the speed trap at one point. I'm not sure if it was at the end of the session, but he did top it at one point with a 200.6 mile an hour lap. But it's going to be very, very interesting come tomorrow whether or not Lorenzo will be able to improve on the time he did today, or whether that GP17 will be a lot worse for him. Another couple of riders making their MotoGP debuts were Moto2 riders Sam Lowes, Johann Zarco, Jonas Folger and Alex Rins. They all stepped up from the Moto2 class into the MotoGP class, and the times, obviously you don't really expect them to be on the pace straight away, but I think it was a very, very good showing for Jonas Folger, who ended 16th, the top Moto2 rider in the field, Zarco, and then it was Rins and Lowes. Now Lowes did have a crash, and I think he was the only Moto2 rider to have a crash. He was just trying something different and it didn't work. Obviously, all of these guys have got to adapt their style, their braking points, their acceleration points, how hard you can get on the throttle, etc, etc. Now the reason that Alex Rins' time was so far off it is because that he was running no electronics on his Suzuki today. He wanted the bike and the bike only. Whether or not he will run that for the whole season, because I know that a lot of riders aren't keen on all these fancy gizmos like traction control, etc, etc. They prefer your traction control in your right hand. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Alex does end up with these gizmos on his bike and see how much progress he can make. Looking at the KTM performance for today, Pol Espargaro, the leading KTM, in 19th ahead of Bradley Smith. Now, Pol Espargaro did end up on the floor in today's session. He did have a crash at turn 10, and unfortunately the bike was a little bit wrecked. He got on the second bike and got out there, kept piling in the time, and for sure you've got to expect the KTM to slowly get better and better. It's still in development. There's still a lot of time left before. There's still, what, 4 months before we get under the lights in Qatar to begin the 2017 season. So I'm definitely expecting KTM to be in the points consistently like Suzuki were in their first season, around top 10, 15th, in between 10th and 15th, and then I reckon the second season could just be like Suzuki's second season, fighting for wins and stuff like that. So there we go, that is a day 1 roundup of the test. It does continue tomorrow, which is today by the time you're seeing this video. It goes on the Wednesday. BT Sport 2 if you're watching it. If you're not watching it and you're watching this video about yesterday, go watch BT Sport 2 now if you've got it. It should be live at the moment. And yeah, enjoy. So, Maverick Vinales goes into day 2, top step, but will Lorenzo be able to challenge him at the front tomorrow in the GP17? We don't know. There's going to be a lot of improvements from the likes of Folger, Zarco, Rins, Lowes, and the KTMs for sure. So make sure you keep an eye on them. As I mentioned, Michele Pirro will be riding that Danilo Petrucci's GP17 tomorrow, so watch out for him. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time, which will be day 2 roundup of the MotoGP Valencia test.